Greetings, Neverwinters, and welcome back to the Inside Neverwinter podcast, the only Neverwinter exclusive podcast. It is December 28th, 2013. I'm your host, JDdog, is back from the holidays. Say hello.
Hi, how's everybody doing?
Alrighty. We've triumphantly returned after another week of absence, but it wasn't for lack of trying. We had produced an episode and found out in post that we did not have suitable recording. Audio was oversaturated. Everything sounded wrong. It wasn't the kind of thing we could bring to you as a show. It had to be thrown out. So yeah, it's kind of like when you make a dish and you put a little too much salt in there. The whole thing's ruined. There's no way to remove that salt. You know, you can't fix it. So it's kind of like that. You just have to start over again and with with Christmas has been coming up, and it's only now that we're able to actually get back to it and give it another shot. The good news is that it gave us another week of playing the Winter Festival, of playing dungeons, another week for recruiting in the guild, which brought us some new recruits, and I'm happy to say our ranks have expanded a bit. It was another week basically to play the game. Without all that stuff going on, without having a show that's up there, it kind of took the focus away from the show and put the focus back on the game. So we were actually playing the game. So, JDdog, why don't you tell everybody what we've been doing as a guild this last week? What's been going on?
Basically what's been going on, we have been recruiting. I think we have some really, really, good members in the guild and everything. We went on a dungeon raid a few days ago.
Yep.
And
we took you as the tank, and we took
I was the tank,
myself and another guild member. We went and did Lair of the Mad Dragon, with me being about 10 levels too low for it. But we pugged 2 more hunters, so we had a group of 4 hunter rangers and 1 guardian fighter. And Lucky JDdog got to tank for us as a level 60, and we were all level 30s, and I was level 24. So that was our first guild activity. It didn't bring us any new recruits, but it was great to get some togetherness from that. To follow that up, the next night, another guild member and I, a separate guild member and I, did our daily dungeon run together, and that turned out pretty well, even though he wasn't able to keep in voice contact. We were in party together. The other good news is that the guild now has a website as well as a voice chat server with the Mumble program. The guild website can be found at ceili.guildlaunch.com. We'll put a link to that in the description for you on YouTube so you can check us out, find all about what our tenets are, what we believe in, what the guild is about and for. And if you're interested in joining, there's always a way to apply on the Guild Launch website. So if you want to get in touch with us during the week for about the guild, that's the way to do it on ceili.guildlaunch.com. Now, if you want to talk back to us on the show, drop a comment below on YouTube. Tell us all about what your thoughts are. We'd love to share your viewer feedback on the show with our winter event festival been going on for now 2 weeks, and we've been able to get to it just today, along with all your Dread Ring progress, your Hunter Ranger leveling, your new Paragon paths, and so forth. We'd love to hear about what you're doing and what's going on and what's important to you. We'd love to share your feedback on the show and give you a shout out at the top. We have nothing this week that y'all told us to give to you. So we're going to jump straight into State of the Game, and we're going to talk about everything that's been going on with Winter Festival going on and doing Red Ring and having new classes to level. So, JDdog, have you tried out the new Hunter Ranger?
Yes, I have. I have a level 13 Hunter Ranger. Pretty OP if you shoot for that dexterity roll. Like I did.
Yeah, I can attest to that.
Yeah, it's different, definitely. The transition between weapon with your knives and your bow is really cool. I really like that, the way that they did that and everything, and I think it's pretty cool.
Melee stance is a wonderful thing. The ability to switch back and forth does start a new kind of rotation. What'll happen is, especially as you get later on, and if you spec into certain class abilities and features, you're going to get more incentive to switch back and forth. Aspect of the Serpent, which I just picked up the 3rd rank of, gives you stat buffs for using your your alternating ranged and melee. So what'll happen is you'll start out with no stacks of anything, and whatever you're using builds up the opposite. So if you're hitting stuff with an arrow and bows, you're going to be building up your melee stacks, your melee damage stacks, and that stacks up to 5. And each stack, depending upon how many points you put into that class ability, is going to provide 1, 2, or 3% per damage to the other hit. So when you're stacking up that melee stack with using your ranged attacks, and then you switch to melee, your melee hits are going to hit 15% at max spec and max stacks there, 15% more damage with each one. And the way the stacks accrue is with each target that you hit. So the rotation for me has been starting out generally. I'll fall into a niche where I'm not fully one way or the other, and instead I'm starting off a fight at about 4 ranged. So I'll hit a quick hindering strike and a circle around me, switch to ranged, dash back, throw another hindering strike on the biggest mob, throw down Thorn Ward down there, and start split shotting until everything's dead. That's solo or in group, pretty much the same rotation. So it's really neat to see how that affects things, especially going back and forth. That kind of thing is not necessarily new to MMOs. We've seen a mechanic much like that with the Eclipse bar for balanced druids in World of Warcraft. So it's neat to have that in Neverwinter. Neverwinter being an action game, its combat system being a little more hack and slash focused than action bar focused. And I much prefer that manual targeting to tab targeting, even if sometimes I lose a little DPS. It's much better in my opinion. We've also been playing all of the Winter Festival. Winter Festival awards some really cool stuff. Everyone apparently is in love with the fawn pet that you get with Lights of Cimmeril. So everyone's just been farming the fish. They've been doing every event that gives you Lights of Cimmeril. Although I think the fish grants you the most lights. Because your basic fish, your brown beam, when you fish that up and you get a 10 stack, it'll give you 1 light of Cimmeril for 10 of those. The green fish, when you fish those up, that gives you 2 lights of Cimmeril for every 10 stack. And then for blue fish, the rare fish, you're fishing those up and it's every 10 stack gives you 3 lights. And finally, when you fish up the purple fish and you put in a 5 stack, that will give you 5 lights back. Because it's so rare. So... They really up the rewards the longer you go on, and it is possible to stand out there all day long and fish at new stuff, especially if you're getting golden scissorps, which are the other bait, or you've crafted a lot of hooks, shiny lures with the Cimmeril light crafting profession. Also, we've been playing some Dread Ring campaign, even though I switched my main a couple weeks ago. I think I haven't talked about that on a show that actually made it to the channel. But I'm in the process of switching mains and leveling a Hunter Ranger, but I didn't leave my Guardian Fighter high and dry. Instead, I basically started over. Got some new blue gear with the stats I was looking for on basically every piece that I could find, that I could replace. Which wound up being everything for very cheap on the auction house. Thank you, auction house. And I was able to get lots of armor pen, lots of power, lots of defense, and just go out and have a great time as a Guardian fighter. So I've been doing dailies. I actually picked up dailies, but wasn't able to do them during the week. So last night and today, I did everything that I had accrued over the last week or so, and managed to get my second boon unlocked. And I'm pretty happy with that. So now when JDdog wants to go to dailies, we can go to dailies together. I can pick up the same stuff he does and get about the same progress out of it. JDdog, how's your Dread Ring campaign progression coming along?
It's coming along good. Tomorrow I hope I will be getting my second boon in the Dread Ring.
The most important
campaign.
Part to getting your boon is getting that script and the getting the Thayan cipher, and the only way to get that is from the Dungeon Delve chest. The layer run chest at the end there. Yeah. So even if you aren't able to craft your gauntlet, or even if you aren't able to do other stuff, if you're able to go in and do Phantasmal Fortress or Death Forge or Dread Ring, if you're able to do any of those, you're still going to be able to get it. So focus on those if you don't have time for anything else, and that's for everyone, not just JDdog here. But that's all Winter Festival stuff. Let's talk about Sorry, that's all Dread Ring stuff. Let's talk about the Winter Festival instead. Now, there's an event we kind of glossed, a couple of events we kind of glossed over that are the Slalom Run, which is a run down icy track through slalom gates and through rally gates.
Yes.
And you have 3 rally gates along the track, and the track kind of curves a little bit. And as you slide on the ice, your goal is not to slide too far so as to hit a wall and stop your momentum. You're always trying to convert your momentum into new momentum, and not overturn or oversteer anything. And even on a horse, it's difficult. Being on foot as a class that can shift or dodge or whatever doesn't really help. What does help is being I would say having a fast mount. If you have something faster than the basic, is probably going to help you. Although since I tend to roll with stuff that I can get for free most times, I don't count on my money getting me a boost in game. I more or less count on, if I put money in the game, getting something fun out of it, something novelty or whatever. Yeah. So I think the best way on the Twilight Run is to take it very fundamentally and keep your speed as high as possible. Turn as early as you can without hitting into a wall. And sometimes you might need to ignore a slalom gate in order to make a rally gate or make the time to a rally gate. Because what'll happen is you're on about a 30. I think on about a 30-second timer once you get that first rally gate to hit the second rally gate. Once you hit the second, you're on a 30, on a 30 to hit the third. And the third's the killer. I've done it a couple times. I would say about 5 or 6 times over the course of the week. Just when I have time and feel like it, and it's fun. It's just really annoying that last rally gate. I'm always about a second short, even though it looks like I should be right on time. But I never quite make that last rally gate before the finish. I always make the finish on time, and I make the rest okay. It's that third rally gate that's been giving me trouble. JDdog, did you actually? What were your experiences there on the Twilight Run?
I've only made it once, perfect.
Yeah,
I made it through all the gates, and that only happened once.
Nice.
That was like the 3rd or 4th time I did it, and I had my boar pet, which I think is the same speed as every other. Not boar pet, I mean boar mount, which is the same speed as every other.
I think so.
Mount.
Yeah, because my pig's only 50, 52, 50% extra speed.
Yeah, what you really need to do is just hit all those boosts, those blue arrows.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, and I hit all of them. I don't know how I did it. I just did it perfectly, and I was really proud of myself. I was in the zone. And I actually ended up winning the instance. Like, I got first place and everything.
You got number 1 in the event, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
I did it, I was really proud of myself, so I kept on doing it. I mean, once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy.
Good. I mean, I guess I'm just having trouble with it because I'm overthinking it. But I mean, it is fun to race then, keep your momentum and stuff. I'm just frustrated that I always hit a slide or something right at the end before that third gate and miss it. Like, I know when it's coming up now too. I could recognize the track like when it's leaving off that third gate, and it's such a pain, but it is fun. I mean, I think we mentioned this last week on the Ruined episode, but that there's always something new to do in Neverwinter. A lot of times it might feel like a sacrifice. You're not paying anything for the game, so you're not getting as much. But I mean, we have those quiet times where we don't, those periods where we don't have a lot of content. There might be a call to arms, or there might be like a lockbox event.
Yeah.
But usually, I mean, there's always something to do. They have those weekend events that I've not been a big fan of. But they've also got, holiday events and like the Winter Festival, the Summer Festival. We've got stuff like the campaigns to keep us busy. Now that we've got a guild, I think that really kicked up our inspiration for playing. I think that's
especially mine.
Yeah, kickstarted us wanting to play. Because now that we've got people who are actually in the guild and talk to, and we're playing with and doing stuff with them, it's kind of gotten us to where this game can be fun and we can do stuff with people. So we found that it is important to have a good guild that you can rely on being in. And it's not that difficult to find something to do, especially with daily quests out in a campaign zone, or just your Rick's dailies. Yeah,
Hmm.
there's just something going on your computer. I keep kind of clicking.
It's my chair.
Oh, okay.
I've noticed it. Every time I like shift my weight in the chair,
Yeah.
it makes a clicking noise, and I'm trying so hard just to sit
To
still.
stay still. It's
Yeah.
hard to stay still when you're sitting talking. It makes you want to. I'm always wanting to rock back and forth. I pick stuff up and play with it and fidget with it because we're just talking.
Yeah.
That's really all we're doing. We're not playing game or doing anything. So Knights of the Ceili, since Casey got started, actually as KC and not as someone else's guild with a different name, which I'm kind of surprised in a game where you've been nickeled and dimed for your character respecs and your mounts, your companions, and junk. For anything decent,
Yeah.
you're pennied and nickeled and dimed for. I'm kind of surprised in a game like that you can rename a guild without expense put into it. You can just change the name of the guild, and as long as that guild name isn't taken, you're okay. It seems. I mean, not that I'm complaining about it. I like that. I just don't understand what is wrong with Cryptic. They can't seem to get their act together. We were talking about this the other day together, JDdog.
Yeah.
Remember when I was saying it's just weird how much Cryptic has kind of gotten wrong over the course of the game that they're having to correct. I was talking with a guildmate about Guardian Fighter abilities and things like that, and other abilities and how they should be tuned a little differently. It's not really for lack of different kinds of abilities that we suffer. I think we're just suffering from strength of some. It doesn't wind up being a you can spec any way you want thing, rather than a thing where you have to spec a certain way to get certain things, which has been a failed model, at least for World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
Now, I do like, uniqueness of classes, and so some classes are controllers and some classes are strikers and stuff like that. The niches that we have for performance. We have a tank class, we have a healer class, we have control classes, we have damage classes. And there's hybrids of things of all in between. You have different abilities that allow you to do a little bit of everybody's. So, really what I'm going for here is it just that there's a lot of things that don't make sense about Neverwinter that I do wish would change. I don't ever want to feel like we're not pushing Cryptic to be better. Character respecs, if they cost Zen, they shouldn't, if they continue to cost Zen, they shouldn't cost something that you can't afford by working up a couple maybe 100,000 Zen on the auction on the auction. Sorry, a couple 100,000 Astral Diamonds, maybe on the auction house, and transferring it to Zen in order to buy it.
I mean, a couple 100,000 Zen
would be enough for life. Yeah,
yeah.
You could respec all day long and never care. But yeah, I mean, if it continues to cost Zen, it respecs character and power and feat respecs should not cost more than what you can reasonably trade for about 100,000 Zen, 100,000 Astral Diamonds. Crud, I keep messing that up. I think the going rate is about every 40,000 Astral Diamonds, 40 or so, maybe 50, gets you 100 Zen. If I had to pay 50,000 Astral Diamonds for a complete character respec, I could certainly make that worth my while. And instead, I think right now I would need 150,000. 150,000 Astral Diamonds for a character respec is ridiculous. And I say that because in other games you pay gold, and gold is a currency in Neverwinter, and you don't have to pay something that you would have to pay money to earn, or have to transfer your main currency, Astral Diamonds, to do. I mean, respecting your character is something that should be done. I think we've gone in the right steps in that every time there's been a change, there's a free respec. So, if you really mess up and you really just don't have the money, just wait for, some big change to come along. But barring that, I mean, if you're just not having fun, sometimes you just have to re-roll. Another thing I want to talk about, Cryptic, I wouldn't call them shady business practices. To me, they're just To me, that just makes sense because they're trying to make money. Here's what happens. Cryptic sells Zen. With Zen, you can buy your keys, your enchanted keys. With the enchanted keys, you open lockboxes, and lockboxes drop for free all the time in game. Inside the current lockboxes, the rusted iron lockboxes, you can get an artifact pack with actual artifacts in it. You have a chance to get actual artifacts from it, and those artifacts sometimes are bind on equipped versions of the BOP artifacts that come from the artifact finding quest when you reach level 21. The problem with this is if you do what I did, Cryptic GMs will not restore your item if it's your own mistake. Instead they refuse, and it's not a far-reaching guess to say that it's because they make money. So what happened was I accidentally deleted my artifact. I was trying to refine it, accidentally clicked discard, and when the dialogue came up, I was expecting the cancel to be on one side when it was on the other. So I accidentally clicked the discard a second time. So I'm running into this problem where I put in a ticket to get it restored, and the GM told me they can't restore that item. And the only reason I can see why they wouldn't restore it is if they expect me to go out and spend money to buy it. So, or buy it with Astral Diamonds on the auction house for like $1 million. So I'm just not going to do that because I would have to spend about $20. It equates to $20. And the reason I always equate how much Astral Diamonds or Zen something takes is because I'm looking at the cost of what I'll be paying for a subscription every month for basic services like item restoration and comparing that to this free game where I've been playing, for free for forever. And, I put $10 here, $10 there at my own leisure whenever I felt like I could afford it and when it was, worth it. So the big problem for me is that I don't expect that Neverwinter is gonna fall because of things like that. I do think it's a poor way to do. It just seems to me that I'm not going to spend my money in the game because of that kind of thing. That I would much rather have a game where if you're going to have a cash shop, and you're going to sell purple. Epic companions and mounts for $20, $30, you had better make every one of those bind on account across all characters all the time. So here's the deal. If at the regular price, they ran a sale this weekend, but it's only for this weekend. It's only through New Year's Eve, I think. At regular price, an epic companion can cost you $30. The epic companion that costs you $30 will only be good for one character. Or you can sell it in the auction house. Good luck getting that much Astral Diamonds worth out of somebody.
Yeah.
Or you can just bind it to one character. One character. That's a problem. That's a big issue. Mounts don't have that problem. For some reason, Cryptic saw it fit to make mounts bind on account, meaning you can't sell them to other people, but you can redeem it on all your characters on that account. To me, that screams of a team that does not know what the hell they're doing. Because if you make one thing BOA, so that you can get on all your characters and redeem it forever, as long as you keep that account, that's going to keep you buying character slots for as many characters as you want. That's going to keep you coming back for more whenever you need the next one. Because it's money well invested. You can always get the next one or the next character. You aren't missing anything on other characters because you spent the money here. Here's the problem. You're basically wasting money. And the way the companion system is right now, it's basically wasting money. The only thing that your companions are, going to be game breaking for, is if you're playing the online web game. That's it. Now, feel free to rebut me and tell me that there's other stuff that your companion can make or break. But as far as I can tell, the only thing that is going to make or break somebody with their companions is that stupid. Not stupid. I like it, but it's that stupid that's the only thing that it can make or break. Is the Sword Coast Adventures game. So So what we're dealing with is basically things that need to change, and probably will change over time as people as people give feedback and complain about it more. It just is totally bonkers crazy that you would sell a service like a companion and you would not make it redeemable across all characters. Okay, and you were buying some. You had bought some companions that were on this companion sale because they're 60% off this weekend. JDdog, what did you get?
I got a Will-O-Wisp, and I got this stone that floats around your head. I forget what that is called.
The Iron Stone of Allure, I think.
Yes, I got one of those.
So the Iron Stone is a stat booster, right? It doesn't have any combat abilities or anything. So you slot your rune stones in there, and whatever you get from the rune stones come to you. Or is it that its base stats as it grows? Because it's a blue companion, a rare companion, right? Or is it just that its stats, like as it grows, are applied to you?
I think it just gets better and better as it grows. Mm-hmm. And with the Will-O-Wisp, it does a whole bunch of other things that.
Yeah, it's a combat companion because that's a rare one. That's an epic one. That's purple. Mm-hmm. So it actually has like a combat thing. So what kind of companion is it? Is it one of those controllers, or does it do damage, or is it like a defender? What does it do?
It does a little bit of damage. It kind of does a little bit of everything.
Okay.
It sometimes aggroes some enemies, but it doesn't have a lot of health right now. I only have it up to rank 8. But it dies pretty fast, and I have to keep reviving it, which is a pain. But once I get it to rank 30 and get some, enchantments on it, and runestones on it, and some better gear, then it should be an unstoppable fighting machine.
Pretty elite. Now, one of your driving forces about it was because of the Sword Coast Adventures game, right?
Yes.
Because some of those you can't really take your companions in because they won't be of sufficient level. Like the epic ones, they're for like level 25 to level 30, rank 25 to 30 companions. But the only companions that go up that high are purple ones, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
because plain ones go up to 15, green ones go up to 20, and blue go up to 25, and then the epic ones go to 30, and that's pretty darn weird. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's any coincidence that the companion 60% off sale came 2 weeks after this launch, the Sword Coast Adventures game launched.
Yeah,
because it seems like it was a thing of get you hooked and then buy these companions because we put them 60% off. Mm-hmm. And they also made that bundle where you can buy every companion ever. But it's again, I'm not that fond of this companion thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, as a gaming thing, the companions are fine. Like if you want the boost, go for it. It just seems like a poor thing to me because I know what I would buy and why. I would go out and buy 4 or 5 companions if they were all bound, because then I would have the same team across every character. I would know what each one needed, and so I could just buy like a defender, I could buy a controller, I could buy a striker, just pick the ones I liked most, or go with the beast for the hunter ranger. But with it being the way that it is, I'm not very compelled to spend money on companions at all.
Yeah.
Instead, I think the only thing I spent money on last time was character slots. No, not character slots. The last time I had money in the game, I spent it on bank slots for my main, my Guardian Fighter. And then I got... I think the bank slots were 600 in, and I had like 400 left over, and I just bought keys with it. Like, I think that's... Excuse me. I think I just bought keys with it or something. Now I've got another $10 in Zen now that I'm just sitting on because I don't know what to do with. But even with the companion sale, there's just nothing I want enough to spend $8 on for just getting one companion on one character that's only a level 20.
Mm-hmm.
Because really the only thing I would think I would need it for is that game. Get a little extra boost, to get a little extra rewards.
Yeah.
But really, I think that's just my thing to complain about this week. I always tend to soapbox on one thing or another, but because there are because there's always room for improvement, even if the game is great. A long time ago, I was on the soapbox about boundary rewards, which I would still love to see. And I may need to take a laundry list of stuff to the forums and get it where the devs and the moderators can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's lots of stuff, like those foundry rewards, like these companions things, like other stuff that just doesn't work, or abilities that won't trigger, or just overall, there are some things I think that universally need fixing, and then there's some things that I think are more for individual experience. So that's just me. That's my thing to brand about this week. Don't expect that to be a weekly thing. I don't think anyone would keep listening if it did something like that. The only news we have this week for you is that everything is still the same for like 1 or 2 more weeks. The Winter Festival event ends on the 9th of January, and that is 2 weeks from Thursday, 2 weeks from Boxing Day, the day after Christmas. So we still got a week and a half left. So by the time you hear it, a week and a half. So not to worry, there's still time for everything. You still can get to everything. I think the big thing everyone's shooting for is the fawn pet you get with the lights. Myself, I'm going for the companion, the frost mimic.
Same here.
It's a defender, and I think it will be fun. And of course, since I'm, my new main is the ranger, that's what I want. The man at arms is cool, but I think I want to go with the frost mimic as a companion. Because the mounts are all generally the same. The companions vary a little bit, but generally I tend to go for green companions just because I like having companions that are a little better than basic for not spending any money. And if I can afford it by the end of the event, which I very much doubt, I would go for a fawn just because everyone seems to be so enamored with them. But as it stands, it's okay. I think overall, I just have that one gripe about it. So, without any further ado, we've made our way through the main big segments of the show. Let's talk about this week's Feature Foundry. Now, since it's the same Feature Foundry that we were going to have last week, and just we were not able to save. So the foundry is called Rest in Peace by @Sargaruth, and we'll put a quick link. We'll put that quick search code down there below for you in the description on YouTube, so you can find that right away. And now the main thing about this foundry. Compared to other foundries usually plunge you into a storyline, sometimes epic, sometimes funny, sometimes cliche, but they always give you a story to play through. And foundries are, at their heart, meant to be these story campaigns that you can play through. Rest in Peace turns that on its head. And all Rest in Peace is a Thunderdome type event where you're given basically this little curved hallway leading out to this great big open graveyard and huge packs of undead mobs that you're given to face and fight all on your own. And it's possible to do without potions, but I didn't bother trying. I just knew I would need potions. And I just went in there with my Hunter Ranger to see how well I could do and came out okay. I feel like it was a good leveling foundry. And I kind of liked it because it gave me a level, just finishing it. So I was pretty pleased with it. It got me some decent rewards. Things that you're always trying to get to drop, like kits, potions, things like that, and some green gear. That was all okay with me. I liked that. Rest in Peace was a foundry. I had way more to talk about this last week, but Rest in Peace was a really interesting foundry because it changed everything about foundries. I was drawn to it because it was explicitly different in the description. Like, all I had to do was search under new, saw that, just quickly saw like the name, and so I checked the description, and the description said it was that. I was like, okay, I'm sold, I'll play it. And that's really all it took, was just telling me that it's basically a very combat focused, no story at all. Go and kill some zombies, see how well you do, and by the way, it's kind of hard. So that was really cool. That was a really cool idea for a foundry, and very well done. I usually say that things are very well done, but what I'm really trying to say is that the execution is key, even with a good idea. The execution matters. So I'm very glad at how the execution turned out for Rest in Peace, and it turned out to be one of my favorite Foundries that I've ever played. So if you're into Foundries at all, if you want something new to spice up your life in game, check that out. Check out Rest in Peace by @Sagaruth. We'll put that, like I said, that quick search. You can just put that into the homepage, into the catalog, and find it right away. JDdog, did you have anything else anything to add about that, or anything related?
Not really.
Cool. I'm mostly looking to Foundry now that I'm a guild leader as something where if I can find good Foundries that are of decent length, would allow us to roleplay well, or help us to roleplay. Since we're a partly role-playing guild, we're role-playing PvE focused, our PvE, casual social approach. And so our basic game is that we don't have to take the three main tenets of the guild. Let me just talk a little more about the guild, The three main tenets of our guild are mutual respect, intolerance for harassment, discrimination, and the guild being a safe place to game. So with those three things in mind, we've built these rules and expectations that we have for being in the guild that kind of all follow into those. So everything about that is meant to be very casual, very social, and not at all elitist, confrontational, or min-maxer kind of thing. We're not looking to break any records or make any world first events or anything. The main focus is for us to get people who share the same view, for us all to be able to game together and play things together. Get our gear, keep our gear progression up, and have a great time learning dungeons. Because dungeons are, I think, since Dungeons & Neverwinter is in game, I feel like that's the PvE focus. Skirmishes for Neverwinter have become what dungeons were in WoW and other games, where they're mostly short pieces of content, sometimes a little long, but they're not overscaled, and they're meant to be consumed for loot. Now, just stick there. Now, Dungeons & Neverwinter are the raids that were in classic WoW and stuff, where they're tuned high, and the bosses can kill you, and standing in stuff at the end boss of a dungeon will get you killed and wipe you, and your group will take forever. And it ramps up in difficulty slowly, especially in Dread Vault. Dread Vault was the one we did the other night. Me and another level 60 guildmate, and it was not easy, I would say. I think our saving grace was the built-in game chat, which I think it was a good move. Always great to have something that works just straight out of the box, or as it were, box. It being a game you download and not that you buy from the shelf. But our saving grace was having a cleric who knew what to do, especially, and he was able to call out things on the fly because it's an action game and needed a good voice chat. So I feel like that aspect of the game is hit on the head. Even though it's not the best, it works in a pinch. It's there for you, and it's something you can rely on at the basic level for what you need for voice chats. So that was was what kept us and got us through the dungeon, was the leadership of a cleric and voice chat, kind of giving us good coordination. So with those two built-in things, we were able to complete it, even though it's very high tuned, meaning numbers get big, health pools are absolutely large, insane, crazy, and people can be killed easily. Damage is very high on those end bosses, so you don't let anything hit you. You have to stand in certain places. I really, really loved that, and just that hardcore mentality of maximizing your performance, and just the laid back mentality, the laid back fun of socializing and role playing. Those are going to be our two sides of the coin for this guild. Those are going to be our focuses. We want to gear players up who go for that kind of thing, and we want to play with, and we want to role play and hang out and just have a great time with players who are more into the laid back approach. So when we say that we're accepting all kinds, that's what we mean. So if that is your bag, hit us up. Like I said, we're going to be putting our guild website in the description here for you to see. Check us out and see what we're about. And that's about everything I wanted to plug at the end of the show. I've always got a lot to talk about when it comes to Neverwinter, and now that we have a guild going, even more so. So, JDdog, was there anything else you want to add at the bottom here, the last of the show, before we close this out?
I really don't have anything. I mean, we've mentioned everything, and
you've just been having a great time, with the finding out that the gateway is useful for your
my gosh,
adding on this.
I'm on the gateway every day.
The Sword Coast Adventures, and then now you're back into your professions because of that in the gateway, and trying that stuff out. One thing really led to another, so it's basically. I think I've noticed that for you here lately, you've been a lot happier with this guild thing.
Yeah.
Now that there's people in the guild, even as few as they are, and they're on at different times of the day. It's not all just for 4 hours at night that everybody's on. I've noticed you're a lot happier with the guild and with the game. Like you're more interested in playing more of it.
Yeah, because before the guild was started, it was kind of getting iffy for me. Neverwinter was.
Yeah, you were always talking about playing other games or going.
Yeah,
going with something else or just quitting Neverwinter, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. I never meant that. I would never quit this game. It's that good.
Now that it's been truly redeemed, I think. Which should have expected from the start. MMOs hinge on the social aspect, the massively part of the MMO. So that there's players and you interact with players and you have a relationship with other players. Even when it's cursory, is their name, their handle, and what they go by, and you can refer to them by that, and you're comfortable talking to them about this or that. Goes a long way to making your experience enjoyable. And even if the game is awful, if you have a good group of people to play with, you would play with. And I think that's probably how it is for us for Neverwinter right now. Even if the game has problems, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not what we'd want it to be, the fact that we have people now that we're interested in, other players that are in our group, in our guild, that we can socialize with and become friends with, that's really turned our whole view around.
Yeah, and another cool thing is no one is completely terrible at the game. We're all pretty good at the game.
Yeah, I don't necessarily want to invite anybody to the guild who's terrible at the game.
Yeah.
And we would try to bring up everybody's game anyway, but just the simple fact that we've got good people so far makes us really hopeful and glad that the guild is going as it is. So from me, Takuya, from JDdog, together, the both of us, thanks for listening to this episode of Inside Neverwinter. Our intro and outro music, as always, is copyrighted Cryptic Studios and Perfect World Entertainment. We don't own it. If you want to check us out on YouTube, find more of our stuff together. All of our episodes on the channel DJ Takuya on YouTube. Coming at the beginning of this next year is the Inside Neverwinter podcast site, which hopefully this episode will be uploaded to as well, so you can find that. So if you're listening on the website, congratulations. This is the first episode uploaded to the site of many more. So for me, for the guild, for JDdog, for the podcast site, for everybody in our group and everybody in the world. We salute you. We wish you have a great week. Have a happy new year. Best of luck with your New Year's resolutions. If you want my advice, write them down, even on your phone. Put them in a note on your phone so you can always check them.
Get them tattooed on the inside of your eyelids.
Oh, no, I would not do that. No. If you're glutton for pain, sure, but yeah. Mine are in my phone on a notepad, so I won't lose them, but that I'll still have them because no one carries paper anymore. But we're willing to carry phones, so put it on your phone. I would say.
It's the age of technology.
Hope you had a great holiday, whether you celebrated the solstice, Christmas, Hanukkah, or Kwanzaa, and I hope you're looking forward to the new year. And we will see you next year. Bye now.
Happy New Year's, everybody.
Safe travels.